Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Owen Talks Drum Corps. Today I have a very, very special announcement that I've been waiting to tell you guys. And if you have not seen already on my Instagram page at Owen Talks Drum Corps, that is that I will be marching with the Phantom Regiment this upcoming drum corps season in 2025. Now, as many of you guys know, drum corps is very expensive nowadays. So much so that I am currently raising money for my drum corps tuition. Now I have a very special deal for you guys. Anybody who donates $35 or more via the link in the description of this video or on my Instagram page to my direct link of donations for Phantom Regiment will get a free Owen Talks Drum Corps hat, just like this one, for free shipping, as long as you do a donation of $35 or more. Now, any donation is appreciated. If you can please help me out, it would literally make my dreams come true in marching Phantom Regiment. But any help that the community can give me, I would greatly appreciate. Plus, you're getting yourself a free little hat. Like, it is actually so comfortable, so sick. It's clean. You get it for free shipping. You don't have to pay anything else other than the donation you would make. So any donation is appreciated, but if you would like to get on that deal, that is $35 or more on a donation for my tuition for drum corps this season, and you get yourself a free Owen Talks Drum Corps hat. I'll be placing the link in the description, like I said. If you would like to donate, it would be greatly appreciated. The rules for how to get the free hat are also posted on my Instagram page. That's Owen Talks Drum Corps. It's very simple. You make the donation, you take a screenshot of that, and you send it to my direct message on Instagram. That is Owen Talks Drum Corps. I get your address and your details for the shipping of the hat, and then you get yourself a free hat. Thank you so much, you guys, for your constant support, and it's going to be an awesome year. Happy New Year to you guys, and man, I can't wait for 2025. So let's get straight into this episode. Guys, put your hats on because we're about to cook. Okay. Drum corps now is evolving a lot, from past drum corps. And I think one of the main reasons is that of unique instruments that we don't see. For example, your guitar, things that you don't normally see from Troopers proposed this, but like last year with their guitarist, like, dude, like those things were amazing. Or when they had the harmonica, like things that are unique, that are cool.
Add Woodwinds, no.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Owen Talks Drum Corps. Today, we will be discussing the 15 proposals for the 2025 Rule Congress. Cool?
Yes, we will. I don't know. I thought there was going to be a little more, but yes, that's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Miles, do you want to introduce yourself?
I will. So I've been told this video is coming out before, so I guess you don't know me yet. Hi, my name is Miles Kehoe. I am a current marching member with the Phantom Regiment. I play euphonium, and I am currently a music education major. I actually play bass trombone as well, and I'm planning to audition to go to UT Austin for sophomore year on, and maybe UNT. We'll see. I kind of got to see what happens with all that. That's a little bit about me. I marched with Phantom in 2024 and am contracted for 25. So that's me. And I'm very eager to talk about these proposals with Owen.
Let's go. Awesome. Well, this is a pretty laid back episode. If you're watching this beforehand, you should tune into the episode with Miles. That was a really fun episode. Don't you agree?
That was a fire episode. We actually recorded it before this, like earlier today. It was really fun. So definitely go watch that. We go a lot into the audition process, what it's like to get into drum corps from a smaller scene, not really being from Texas or one of the more powerhouse marching states, and it gives an insight on my experience as a first year member. And of course, I plug my socials at the end, so you can always reach out to me specifically if you have questions. But yeah, that it kind of outlines that, and we talk a lot about Phantom and a lot about drum corps as an activity. So
Yes, awesome. Well, let's get right into these proposals. How would you like describe these? I like the easiest way I like to describe these is just like kind of new rules, no?
yeah, so I think some things I've heard again, it's my second year in the activity. I didn't know this was a thing until it got posted. I also thought it was just a community thing. I didn't realize it was like a, hey, we're gonna bring this in front of the board, and this is gonna be a thing. So I didn't realize that was happening, but I kind of see it as housekeeping, general making improvements for the activity, making more modern approaches to the marching arts and taking some stuff. So like sound amplification a couple years ago was not legal, and now it is. So that was a direct result of this. And I think a lot of these are genuinely pretty good adjustments, and a lot of them are unique in their purpose. But I think that overall, this is basically just a how can we make the rules a little more clear? How can we make adjustments for the activity that are going to be beneficial for the long term? And seeing what they can experiment with and, spitball at people and see how the community reacts to it.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, let's get right into them. Would you like to read them whenever, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, we can flip on and off. I'm okay with whatever.
Okay.
So proposal number one,
Awesome.
do we want to cover this now or should we come back later?
Okay, let's say what it is and then we'll
All
come
right.
back and cover
Do
it.
you want to go through and read them all off and then we can go through them, or do you want me to just go as one at a time?
We can just go one at a time. It's
All
fine.
right. So we have proposal number one, which is solo instrument audition. This proposal would introduce a new section to the existing equipment rules policy. This section would also permit each drum corps to designate a single solo instrument of any type, acoustic, woodwind, electronic, or otherwise, for the duration of the season. The designated solo instrument may be mic'd and amplified in any manner, including the use of effects without restriction. So, believe it or not, this one stirred the pot quite a bit in the drum corps world. I think everybody has their own unique approach to it. I don't know. Do you want to touch on this one, or do you want to save it for later and see what we can brew up with the other ones?
Let's cook up with the other ones and then we'll come back and finish our meal with this one.
We'll come back to the solo instrument edition, but that is proposal one by the troopers. Um,
Yes.
Again, I actually want to preface by saying I'm not exactly sure if it's the organization or the CEO or what exactly who is proposing these, but there are affiliated, these are affiliated with different corps who propose them. So I'm assuming it's corps director or maybe CEO, etc. Disclaimer: I'm not sure. Proposal number two is performance order as proposed by the Santa Clara Vanguard. With the exception of regionals with performance order determined by previous placements, every drum corps would be required to perform first at least once during the season. All corps finishing with outside of the top 8 would have the option to perform last at least one show during the season. Any corps performing before intermission can have the option of having critique via video conference at the agreed upon time after the contest, limited to one video conference per week with the selected judges. So let's unpack that a little bit, Owen. What are we seeing here?
In my opinion, and I think we'll have a little bit of, and by the way, everyone, if I'm looking this way, it's because I'm looking at the proposal. We'll have probably a little bit of different, like I guess, point of views on these maybe. Just because obviously for me, I'm more of an outsider's perspective as of now, where you have probably experienced a couple of these things. In my opinion, for this one, I can see both, and you'll probably notice this with a lot of them. I can see both perspectives. Because in one, I'm like, well, that does give the opportunity for a core outside of the top 8 to get, and I speak more on this as a, I guess, a performer from high school. Like when we would go later on in the night, like I don't know, it just the crowd I feel like is just more engaged, if that makes sense. Um And it's not like the oh, the last band is the best band, right? And I think it would remove that, like, is it what, like, stigma that it would be, in that, like, all these cores are phenomenal, so like they all deserve of the placement where they are, you know. Where on the other side of the coin, I can also see how this could affect like scoring, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I think we'll mention this later when I bring up slotting. However, I think that from the inside perspective, like Owen mentioned, we'll have some unique interpretations. I think as a first year member and with like not a lot of time on my belt, it's kind of hard for me to be like, yeah, that's like a really good opinion, or like, oh wow, it's really odd because it's a little. I'm in a unique spot where I have that drum corps background now. However, I still feel as though I'm relatively new and I'm still learning a lot of things. So, grain of salt with everything that I say. However, I am reading here that all corps outside of the top eight would have the option to perform last at least one show, meaning that they would be performing where your top three would be performing at, or your number one spot currently. And I think, do I think that we should shift the order and tradition around? I think this is one of those that doesn't necessarily impact anything. Granted, I'm sure it does, and I just don't know what that is. Um, it's kind of hard for me to tell what that would look like because I've never seen I've never seen this at a high school level or a collegiate level with any performing ensembles. I've never seen it out of order kind of thing. But I'm not against it. I think it'd be interesting to try out for a season and see how it goes. I know that it would probably have impact on how people view the actual, the like Owen said, the stigma of, oh, the later group is going to be the good one would be gone. So it would be interesting to see how that shakes things up a little bit. Um, yeah, I think that one. I mean, are we going to be like yay nay it? Like, I think.
I think we could just flow with with like the air, I guess, the wind. No, yeah, because I mean, the only other thing that I'm thinking about this, it could switch up the logistics and things. Um, Obviously, I'm not sure exactly, and you can speak on this a little bit more than me, but like, let's say on a show day for you, do you have kind of like a set schedule? Not exactly time, like minute per minute, but you're like, okay, around this time we'll be having this, and this time we'll be having this. By this time we'll be in lots, and then we'll be recording something that with this it would switch up because you could be performing way earlier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is something that now you bring it up, that actually is a really good point because that is something we have. We have on tour an EPL, which is the time
Mm-hmm.
eat, pack, and load everything up, and then leave the housing site to then go to the performance site. Sometimes you're fortunate enough to be at the performance site already. Um, Sometimes you're not. That's just how it is. But I think, now that you mentioned that, that's probably why we don't do that, just because it does shake things up. Is it undoable? No, I think it's just another burden on the corps that we don't really need. But also think about all the other corps that perform at like at the regionals, for example, like San Antonio, their corps performing in the morning, really stinking early for like no reason. And it's just because they're not necessarily competitively as high as some of their other, peers, you know what I mean? So I think it'd be interesting to try out and see what the logistics of that would be. Because like Owen just mentioned, with that factor in mind, I think it's kind of a logistical nightmare, but it could be figured out. I don't think it's anything that couldn't be figured out. Because like
Yeah. Yeah.
Phantom was in seventh when I was auditioning, and we jumped back up to fourth. And not that really placement means anything. It's just more of like when we were performing, we just started performing when it was dark out. Like that was just something we got used to. Like, and we had like a lot time around 5 or 6, and then we would eat like later. Like we'd have our EPL where we'd eat, and then we'd eat after the show later that day because we just didn't eat dinner because we'd eat it later. You know what I mean? So I think it'd be interesting to see how that would work out.
Yeah. I like the where you said like it could be something that like it gets tried out, you know?
I think
Um,
trying it out would be interesting. I don't know how we do
yeah.
that at this scale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do we think it's
Cool,
going
cool,
to get
cool.
passed?
Eh.
We'll have to wait and see. Um, so the
Cool.
third,
I can
oh,
read off the third one if you'd like.
okay, sounds good.
Okay, so the third proposal was brought up by the Bluecoats. And their proposal was to increase the overall size of pit area. It says modifications of the current rule to increase the size of the pit area to 20 feet in front of the sideline from the 30-yard line to the 30-yard line.
Yeah. So this one's kind of a quality of life thing. I think if you can afford to have an even bigger pit than you already do, you know, you could have it be larger. Maybe they want less density and like instruments per square foot. So, for example, like the Phantom pit, the way it's structured, we have like our racks over here, our keyboards here, and then behind them all are like your gongs and giant drums and stuff, like, and your timpani, etc. I don't understand if this is like a request so that way they can make the pit even larger, because logistically you'd probably need another truck to expand the pit from 30 to 30. That's a massive amount of space, and another 20 feet this way from the front sideline would be crazy work.
Now, what the community is saying is what's Blue Coats cooking up with these?
Yeah, what do we need a pit that stretches to the 30-yard lines for? Like, I mean, the only thing I can imagine is that the pit is really long, but logistically, I'm not a percussionist, so I can't speak to this. But I could ask any of my percussionist friends, and they would agree that having the pit a little bit tighter together probably jives better from a rhythmic perspective, like a
Yeah.
sound approach. Because, like, well, we're already miking marimbas because you really, you can't hear them from the box, but like, it's just about like ensemble tearing. Like for a horn line, a lot of drill isn't really written super far out all the time, especially not technical stuff, because a lot of it is logistically really difficult to get to sound the way you want it to because of how sound and distance work. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this one's a really odd one. I don't really know what the logistics of it is.
Yeah, yeah. I can see the whole. I mean, I could refigure it out, but like I feel like it just kind of adds another. It's kind of like the one we just did. Like, kind of just adds another bug to your shoulder. Like, do you really need that?
Yeah, that's kind of what a lot of these are, is what I noticed. But I think that, I mean, I'm not against it. Like, if they want to have a
Yeah,
pit that goes 30 to 30, go ahead.
yeah,
But there's no logistical reason to have more instruments in the pit than we already do.
yeah.
That's just leaving a lot of room for dirt, but that's just me.
Who knows
Uh,
what they're cooking up?
I have no idea. I think that's a really interesting one. I think we both agree that that one's a little out there. Oh, geez.
Alrighty.
Proposal 4 has quite the mouthful. It is all field performance 15-foot marker. To summarize, they're looking to remove field judges from the field, in the sense of like, they don't want, I'm just going to read it so that way we can get the staple and then I can explain a little more. But the removal of field performance judging from the field has had no negative impact on the member or fan experience. The goal of performer and judge safety and the impetus and the implement of this change has been improved. However, so basically, we got rid of field judges back in the day, both for member safety, but also just for judge safety. And there's really no logistical reason that they're on the field other than to hear things a little clearer, I guess, especially I guess it really affects drop line, because, the cleanliness changes as distance. I don't know. Like I'm not from the 1980s. I don't get field judging. I was never a thing I did. It wasn't. I didn't march during 2010, so it's not a thing I ever experienced. But this is saying allowing judges over the 15-foot marker over the front sideline and onto the performance field up to 5 yards continues to create risk. The reality is that many corps are using all of the available space from the 15-foot line on for performance and creative needs, as all corps are entitled to do so. And this proposal closes the remaining loop on member and judge safety. Despite best efforts, judges continue to be on the performance field and cannot feasibly account for all of the front sideline equipment changes, choreography, prop use, or flat out performance use. So what I'm hearing is that we're trying to get rid of judges on the field, period. Maybe maybe it's they're wanting to have the judges be behind the front sideline and not come any further forward than that. I'm not, again, this one's a little weird. It's a lot more fleshed out than the other ones. I think, as somebody who's never marched in an era where judges were on the field and who has marched in an era where props were on the front sideline, and I marched past the front sideline, I agree with this. I don't think that there's no reason the judge should be on the field, but they're probably going to get run into, like, logistically, with just how shows are being designed and how we designed our show last year. Like, judges could not be on the field for the closer at all.
That's fair.
This one's a little weird.
Yeah, I'm on, again, I can see both. While I do see your point, I have marched with judges on the field for BOAs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so I mean, obviously there's a giant difference between a BOA show and a drum corps show. I don't think it's obviously, I mean, we've seen it's not impossible. While it can increase safety and things like that. I think, and even is it like, yeah, the next proposal with P2, like you were saying, I think a lot of these, like for this one, it would take away the, oh, like I can hear them right here, like straight up in front of me, rather than up under the box, Because at the end of the day, while the judging would be the same, like categories wise, I think there is still a giant difference. And it's kind of like with drill, like something that you can hide in the box, maybe like a field judge sees, you know what I mean? I know I noticed that a lot with our scores, like back in BOA, with individual visuals.
Right.
Because while someone can blend in with a whole group from the box, you go down and then you see that, oh, it's not as clean as we saw it up there.
Right. Gotcha. Interesting. I think, again, Owen brings up a good point. A lot of this is just me not really having that experience before. Like, the only judge experience I had was when a judge was like right in front of my bell in the closer, and I just started to walk forward and he walked away. Like, I don't know. That was kind of funny, but I'm not against this. I don't really have an opinion on it. This was proposed by Boston Crusaders. But I don't know. It's interesting. I'd love to see it again in action and see what we could do with it.
Yeah, I agree. Cause yeah, the getting used to it is a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie, because there's difference between our UIL shows and our BOA shows. Where at UIL there was none of that, and at BOA there was, and so we were always trained to be like, okay, you see a judge that's on your dot, like you're gonna run him over.
Yeah,
that's
we
not
got
your
that
fault.
too. But we never had field judges I mean, we might have, but I honestly don't really know.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, it's not like it's like a whole group of field judges. Like it'll be a couple of people or like one or two. So I don't think it's horrible. I guess it would be, for me, it would be not pass, because the pass would be removing them. Yeah. But I don't know. Again, both work. I mean, I don't know. I see both. But yeah. Alrighty. Proposal 5 was proposed by the Santa Clara Vanguard, and it says addition to percussion 2. We would like to start with implementation of the last iteration of P2, used successfully 4 years, and finalize the detail with the entire percussion. The addition of another percussion judge, P2, would evaluate the wide variety of instrumentation in the front ensemble and the cohesiveness of the entire percussion ensemble without losing detail needed with the evaluation of P1. What do we think? I like it.
I like it too. I'm gonna be so for real. Like, back in very ye olden day, we did not have front ensembles. We now have front ensembles. We should probably have a separate judge for that. Like, I just feel like that's kind of a gimmick. Like, that should, like, that's just something I feel like should have happened a while ago. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this one. Vanguard, you did work. Like, you're cooking right now. Like, this is peak. This is ideal. I granted, did they just win drums? Yes, but like, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think that this is a great role, and I think that this would help a lot of cores. Because, I mean, I'm not a percussionist, but I would argue that it's kind of difficult to listen to the field percussion's rhythmic cleanliness, and then remember, oh wait, there's the front ensemble. Like, I don't know.
And it gives it its own focus in a both positive and negative way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, if a core, like, and I don't have like a good example for this, but like, let's say a core has a cracked front ensemble, but their drum line is not as great, you will be able to tell that difference. Within that, now it's just like, okay, well, percussion.
Yeah. There's a lot of benefits to this, I think.
I think it would give its credit to where it's due.
Yeah, that one was that was a no-brainer. That's the first one that was like, I don't really see an issue with this.
W proposal about the Sinclair Vanguard.
As proposed by the Boston Crusaders, we have proposal number 6, which is panel caption equity. This is the proposition basically saying that they only want one judge per caption. Or if there were to be more judges, it needs to be 2 per caption or 3 per caption, like a total amount. I don't know if that means that there'd be like 1 field judge and 1 box judge or something. Again, not super familiar with the judging. I you know, fault of my own, I guess. I'm not really familiar with it. It's not something I've ever looked into, but I don't really need to read this one as much because I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it goes completely against proposal 5, and I honestly think that having other perspectives might be useful in a judging scene and not just being like one authoritarian, you know, visual guard brass and percussion judge being like, this was really good or not. Does it muddy the water a little bit in the sense of there's more room for interpretation of the show and how things are being executed? Yes, but that's almost a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Owen?
Honestly, I see both. Like,
Yeah.
like a lot of these are, I feel like a lot of these I'm gonna say the same thing, but like I do, you know. Yeah, I mean, I see the advantages of one side of it, but like even like you were saying, like with Proposal 5, it kind of, yeah, like I don't know, I don't know. It's a weird one, I would say. I think it's good for it's good, but I think it could also cause other things.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just a little, it's odd. I don't really know how many judges there are in a field at any given time or in general. So I think having 1 per caption, if there are already more than that, might not be a good idea. We'll see.
Yeah.
Proposal 7, Owen.
Proposal 7 was proposed by the Bluecoats. It states wired network connection to audio mix area, which requires Lucas Oil Stadium to provide a hardwired network location from the front 50-yard line to audio mix area near judges.
I'm going to be completely honest. I am not an audio person. I could consult some people after this and ask them what this means. I don't know what this would do, actually, pretty much at all. So my interpretation is that it's for audio mixing of the shows for recording. I don't know. What do you think, Owen? Like, this one's a little weird.
Yeah, this one, the next one, I'm a little bit confused on. I'm not a big audio guy either.
All right. Well, let's just pass that one. I think that one may need to be talked on by somebody else who does know what they're talking about, because I'm not going to talk on something I don't fully understand.
Yeah.
At least to this extent. And then proposal 8 was also made by the Bluecoats, and it was for Lucas Oil Stadium audio power, which is requiring Lucas Oil Stadium to provide a dedicated audio power distribution system. Again, I think this is to eliminate the generator problem of bringing in electric or like tiny little portable generators and running them in Lucas Oil. Not necessarily for emissions or anything, if they are emitting anything or if they are electric ones, just running them and making that core have to pay for it. I think that might be the issue. Again, I'm not against this one if that's what that is, because I think maybe we should have something to power our audio that isn't a generator, but that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't know. Kind of weird. But moving on to 9.
Alrighty, proposal 9 says member contract termination. This proposal aims to amend the current policy that allows a signed member contract to be terminated by a performer anytime prior to May 15th without a written authorization agreement between organizations with the following. No contracted member or member/performer who self-terminates a current year membership agreement will be allowed to enter a new membership agreement with another drum corps participating organization during the current season. I Again, I can see both. But as a performer, as a member, I would is it would I, I would disagree.
I think I understand where the battalion is coming from when they propose this.
But
I
as
think
an organization, I think I agree on what Miles is about to say.
I understand where they're coming from, and I understand where smaller drum corps are coming from in the sense of they need members as well. And a lot of times, and this is an assumption, but I'm pretty sure this could be inferred via everything. I'm pretty certain that the battalion and other smaller drum corps are struggling with numbers because they have signed contracts with people, but other people are then auditioning for, or maybe they have like given contracts and been like, hey, you can come march here, like you're good enough, like whatever. And then the person doesn't end up coming because they got a contract at Vanguard or another corps that's in the top 12, or that is more competitively, whatever the reason is, they just don't pick one of the lower tier open class or even bottom world class drum corps. It's just, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. I think that this needs to be fleshed out a little bit more in some more, in a little bit simpler language. I'm not fully understanding if that the contract termination is on the member perspective or if it's like something else, because when it says organizations with the following, that doesn't really make sense considering the fact that it's saying no contracted member who self-terminates a current year membership agreement will be allowed to enter a new. So what they're saying is that nobody who terminates a contract should be allowed to go march somewhere else. I don't personally see that passing because for a lot of people that end up getting cut. Oh, I'm seeing this. Okay. Let me reiterate. I think what battalion's looking for is that anybody who has a contract that they have signed and then terminate are not allowed to go march somewhere else then. That's a little different. To each their own. I think with this one, I think this one's a little out there, but I think I could see this one maybe passing.
Yeah, it's a little bit out there because I feel like it's kind of like a punishment.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that. Like, oh, you don't want to march with me? Okay, boom.
I think it's more of like if you, because like terminating a contract, like
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
If you terminate contract, like after getting a full contract, you don't get any of your money back.
This is true.
And if you're going to go march somewhere else, you have to have a really good reason to be leaving a already signed contract. Like, I don't know. So that one's taboo. A little odd.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Again, proposed by the battalion, proposal 10, which is the total number of allowed participants. This proposal is looking to directly outline how many people you can have in your drum corps on a membership basis, not only fielding members, but also non-fielding members such as alternate swings and anybody who has an off-field responsibility like a rehearsal assistant or maybe somebody who's on the audio team, etc. It's looking to see what that number is. I'm gonna do a Google.
I guess I'll speak while you get that, but my opinion on this one, I think this is just kind of one of those like housekeeping ones, right? Where it's just a little bit more defined. But I mean, I know we were speaking a little bit about this before we started filming, Miles, but for the audience, we were talking about how like like cores, they need their, we were discussing swings, no?
Correct.
Yeah. So with this proposal, I don't know. Because I can see where it's like, yeah, have a definition of a certain amount of members, but also sometimes you do need those, you know?
I
And
think
it would,
what I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
sorry. And then the other big part of this is that if it's passed, it's applied for this year, meaning course would have to cut people out, you know, which would suck.
So yeah, what's interesting about that is that okay, so I did a Google. According to Wikipedia and Drum Corps International's website, the amount of people that are allowed in a drum corps is 150 as of 2007. However, in 2018, it was bumped up to 154. And then in 2022, it maxed out to 165. 165 is what we use at the Phantom Regiment. That's like the amount of people that we have on the field. We had 180 something last year. So we had 20 something swings or, off field responsibilities. We needed every single one of our members. I like the amount of people who got sick, injured, or could not march for insert reason and needed their spot filled rather, or something of that, instance. It's too many to really count on a hand. So I think that if we are to outline this, maybe it goes up and it's like you can field maybe it's like, hey, you can still only field 165, but you can also have up to 180 total members, something like that. I could see that being okay, but I think if they're looking to chop it down a little bit, that's going to get a little rougher. Would it reduce tour costs and tour dues? Yeah. If we're only taking 125 total people, you're looking at $1,000 off your tour dues. Like that's exceptional, but you're also losing 60 people. Like that's a lot. So that one's a little taboo as well. I think that one's a little bit more tame. Like I feel like that one has a similar purpose to Perk 2 in my book. Like it's actually a good change. So I think that's a good one. I'm not against it if they implement it in a good way.
Yep. Cool. We're cooking, Miles. We're cooking.
We are cooking. We found out in post prior interview that you can do little like filter things on.
These are awesome
on Zoom. Here, I'll put my dog up too.
Yeah, put your dog up. Alrighty, we're back. Proposal 11 was proposed by the Santa Clara Vanguard, and it states that this would formalize the method in which all organizations can submit information about their contest or about their content of their show. Visual, brass, and percussion can provide specific information in addition to an overview of the entire program. I don't see anything wrong with it. It gives more context, which is always better.
Formalizing a method is what got me, so I'm okay with that one. We don't have to spend a lot of time with that. Formalizing a method in which we do it, because I'm sure it's already being done, but formalizing it might not be a bad idea. So your proposal 12, which is the high music proposal, this is a new award that is specifically for the recognition of music performance excellence. This benefits the students and performers, and teachers of the greater DCI educational and adjudicative community by further emphasizing the value of performance excellence in music education. It was kind of a brief ending there. This proposal would add an award for outstanding music performance. This award would be an average of the 3 nights totals music score, including brass, analysis, and percussion. However, if the directors of the corps would prefer, the award could be based on only the analysis caption, should there be a desire to narrow down the focus of the award, given that percussion and brass already have an award. So we're looking at the analysis aspect, I guess, of this in the sense of this proposal, which I'll also tell a little bit about proposal 13, which is these are both by Boston Crusaders, and the last one was by Vanguard, but these are both by the Crusaders. Proposal 13 is just giving it a name, being named after Garland or Gary Markham, who was an educator back in the day and has worked with drum corps since its founding. So that, naming it after him isn't a bad idea. And I think that giving it for, a caption that doesn't have an award, such as analysis, isn't a bad idea. How would it work? That's what I'm interested in. Is I want to know, is it for soloist or is it for the captions? Because the brass and percussion already have awards. So are we looking for individual musicians? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering. I mean, I doubt it is, but imagine like it being an award of like a musical moment, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I don't think it is, but
That'd be
that'd be
interesting.
that'd be cool.
I think like achievement, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, analysis is almost like it's not necessarily achievement, but it's how it's being done, maybe. And I think that just recognizing like, oh, this is incredible writing, like super biased opinion, but Phantom Regiments, like I can name multiple memorable moments in that show, that from a brass perspective specifically, but also percussion that were very, very good. And I'm not against having this. I think another award is in order, and I think a high music proposal is a good idea,
Heck yeah.
and specifically in the analysis category. So that's pretty good.
Heck yeah. And I think it gives, and I think, no, it was with P2. Um, just giving people its credit, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's good. I think it's
I don't
good.
know if we give that to the caption head, the core, etc., members, whatever it looks like. I'm open for it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like it. Awesome. Well, let's go to proposal 14, which was proposed by the troopers, and it specifies general effect adjudication change. Currently, GE, or general effect, is evaluated as a single component, encompassing, bleh,
Encompass,
encompassing, enc- why is that so hard to say for
encompass.
me?
I agree, honestly.
That both visual and musical elements. This proposal seeks to enhance the clarity and fairness of scoring by separating GE into two distinct categories, that being GE visual and GE music. This change aims to provide a more nuanced assessment of each core's performance through general effect music and general effect visual. This proposal uses the previous slash, or not slash, but in parentheses, last used GE music and GE visual sheets for expendency and familiarity with the system. Sorry if I butchered a lot of that.
You're good, man. That's just life. Yeah, I guess I'm a little shook that I didn't realize there used to be a GE Music and GE Viz, and we just got rid of it. I would love to know the reason why. I'm sure there's a good reason. Maybe it was to make it a little bit more simple in the adjudication process, get more people out of the judging process. But I think that I'd love to see a little bit more explanation as to what we're being effective in. So if we're being
Yeah,
effective in music, but our visual isn't as high, then we're like, okay, well now we know what to work on. I'm sure,
exactly.
behind the scenes, there is a time where staff of a drum corps meets with judges post show and goes over what happens, like what the judges thought about the show, etc., why they got the scores, and etc. It's also a time where staff can fight for stuff if they find it to be unfair, etc. Does it happen very often where they fight for it and win? I don't know. Again, first year, I'll know in 3 years. So text me in 3 years. But this specifically is really interesting to me. I am not against it. I don't
I like
really
it.
know a lot about it, but I think it'd be a good idea.
I like it. With me being from a Texas band, I mean, I'm pretty used to having these categories separated, and I've always thought that it's good because, like Miles was saying, like obviously if you're like you rather know what you're being tanked on than just be, oh, our GE tanked like that. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
what?
like womp womp. And then
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I don't see a reason for it to not be, because then I think with GE it's all across all captions. So GE music can be specifically brass, percussion, etc. But GE Viz can be for everybody, which is really
Hmm.
nice. Maybe even GE Viz brass, GE Viz perk, the GE Viz guard. But I feel like that's going a little too deep. So I think the two, or the one being split into two, is a good choice. And finally, on to proposal 15, by the Mandarins. It is to update the percussion instrumentation. Basically, it's saying that the rules regarding percussion instrumentations are outdated compared to what corps have been using for decades, and currently only allow, and I quote, all acoustic percussion membrane and keyboard instruments, meaning drums and, mallet percussion of the variety of key, like keyboards, like, I don't know if that means synth, etc. I know it means like vibraphone, marimba, etc. But I'm not exactly sure if that entitles or encompasses this keyboard, like piano. But it's saying this technically means that non-mallet keyboard idiophones, being cymbals, wood blocks, and other percussion of that nature, are currently not legal in the current system, and that there is also language that allows for motors on vibraphones, which, if you're not familiar, a motor on a vibraphone powers these things that spin, making like a whooshing sound, kind of, when you play it, and it makes it kind of go, it's really interesting. But that's like saying it's basically we just want to have more clarity on what we're allowed to have and not allowed to have, because amplification and power were allowed and are now legal, which would then make this rule in conflict, and it should be removed. So I think that I'm not against it. Again, I think this is a good one. I think this is a just quality of life update, like a video game thing, like bug fixes. I think this is a good bug fix, if that makes sense. I'm not against clarifying what's allowed. And if they do end up saying, yeah, you're not allowed to use symbols, then I think there's a bigger issue. But I'm pretty sure they just be like, yeah, here's exactly what you can use. So yeah, I mean, and we've been for a really long time, drum corps has been using things like keytars and etc. But there's a lot to unpack there. But I think overall, this is a good one. What do you think, Owen?
I'm on the same page where I don't think it's if it doesn't go through, I don't think it affects it that much. But if it does, it's a good like, hey, what's up? But
I
yeah,
agree. That one's kind of, again, pretty tame, but we gotta circle back now. We
and
avoided it the entire time.
It was proposed by the Mandarins, I forgot to say.
Yes, it is proposed by the Mandarins, but we have to cycle back.
Guys, put your hats on because we're about to cook.
We gotta circle back. We skipped
where's
this one at the beginning.
Where's my chef hat? Because we're about to cook.
Oh.
Okay. We're cooking.
All right, this one can get heated, so I think we should just say that we are just performers and that we are not, this is our opinion. This is not the truth, and I don't think anybody would believe it to be. However, if this, I don't think will get heated. I think that the responses could be very interesting. Somebody's going to clip this. Like maybe Owen puts this up and is like, controversial opinion, add woodwinds to drum corps. Like here, I'll even say it. Add woodwinds. No. But I want to get that out of the way and be like, let's outline this. So I outlined it earlier, but solo instrument audition, meaning it would just make an adjustment to the equipment rules policy, which basically is just outlining what can be used. So for example, back in the day, we used to use G bugles. That was pretty straightforward. I mean, it's drum and bugle corps, so we used G bugles. In the year 2000, we swapped to B flat horns because a lot of reasons, but we swapped to B flat. And then eventually we, made trombones legal and French horns and concert euphoniums, etc. So there's been a lot of changes to the activity and what can be used for instrumentation. And in the recent past, people have been pushing the envelope a little bit with the composition by adding violin, electric cello, harmonica, etc. Other instruments that aren't really traditional for drum corps, but aren't unwelcome. I actually think that they're very effective and serve their purpose very well. They're really cool. So no beef. But what this is implying is that it would permit each corps to designate a single solo instrument of any type. So that would, without any outlining, it's allowing all acoustic instruments, so your guitars, your string instruments, etc. It's allowing all woodwinds, flutes, clarinets, oboes, bassoons, contrabassoon, bass sax, bari sax, etc. Electronic being the theremin. I don't know how you would write a theremin solo in drum corps. Maybe it's just like another pitch bend, like tilt. I don't know. But there's a lot of things that could be electronically used, like maybe a voice box. You know what I'm talking about, like the tube That'd be really interesting. I would love to
Pretty
see that.
fire.
And then otherwise, for the duration of the season, the designated solo instrument may be mic'd and amplified in any manner, including the use of effects without restriction. So this one heated the community. I think we can think of why. Like I've mentioned a little bit now, I think it's partially because the addition of woodwinds would. The argument is that adding woodwinds makes this no longer drum corps. I mean, I'm not here to say that that's true or not. I'm here to give my opinion, which is I think maybe we don't. This is one of those things where, but maybe this is my opinion, but I think that maybe we don't change this. I think that the drum corps that a lot of people fell in love with and heard was, modern drum corps, old drum corps, whatever, with brass and percussion. I think that I and many other people in this community think that it should stay that way. I'm not saying that we can't have guitars, we can't have violins, etc., or very niche random instruments, because those are really funny. Those are really cool and they're memorable. Like I'm always
Exactly.
gonna remember. That's what makes it cool. I think specifically this is fine if we remove the woodwind aspect.
I completely agree, bro. Literally like the same because it gives, especially now, and you can speak more on this in a bit. Drum corps now is evolving a lot, from past drum corps. And I think one of the main reasons is that of unique instruments that we don't see. For example, your guitar, things that you don't normally see from I mean, Troopers proposed this, but like last year with their guitarist, like, dude, like those things were amazing. Or when they had the harmonica, like things that are unique, that are cool, but I still don't think that they should add woodwinds quite yet. Um,
I
I
think
don't know.
the
I don't know if they ever or if they're not, but
Do we
I
think that
don't
the
think.
argument could be made that it opens the window for, because this has been in talk, adding woodwinds to drum corps for years. This is not like this is the first time this is happening. Supposedly it was suggested initially that we just add it as a caption and then add it as a feature and then add it as a solo instrument now. And I think that supposedly it was close at one point to getting added as a feature instrument, maybe. But I think this solo proposition is looking oddly optimistic for the Woodwind family and my friends in the Woodwind house. Because I would also like to re-emphasize, I don't dislike woodwinds just because I did drum corps. That's not true. Do I have a particular liking to marching brass? Oh my God, yeah. But I see the purpose. I just think that college band and BOA and high school band and wind ensemble and orchestra and a ton of other things that woodwinds are really good at. I think that's where they should probably stay. Woodwinds are an omnidirectional instrument for the most part. Most of them are. Meaning their sound doesn't just go forward like a bugle does. So maybe we consider that, because if we were to add, like, let's say in an alternate universe, or even this universe, we add woodwinds as a solo instrument, and then eventually it segues into a caption, where we have a woodwind caption, and we have saxes of multiple varieties, etc. Think about the cost for hiring staff. Think about the cost of transporting those instruments. Think about the costs of buying instruments. Then auditioning that. Think about the group's cost. Think about how big the corps gets after adding woodwinds, etc. So this is like that weird loop, like Alice in Wonderland pothole, where it just keeps getting, you keep digging your hole a little deeper when you're like, yeah, let's add woodwinds, and then you're like, let's add a caption, because if it ever gets to that point, are we subtracting from the mass total of brass of the 88 and then only doing like 40 and 40, or are we adding on? Because if we're adding on, my tour dues are going to be $10,000 because we're going to have to transport maybe another 80 people. That's logistically a nightmare. And then you just have a college band with you. So where's the line? That's like my 2 cents, I guess. I'm not against it. I just think logistically that's a nightmare that we don't want to unpack. And I think maybe leave it as tradition, for it's just drums and bugles and sound effects and front ensemble and color guard and etc. Like, there's been a lot of ands, but I still think it is drum corps right now. And I
Yeah.
think adding woodwinds, and Owen agrees, probably, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe we don't add woodwinds yet, or even at all, ever. But
Yeah. I think it also removes, and I feel like I hate to describe it like this, but this is just how it feels to me. Like honestly, it's just it kind of feels just disrespectful to those who have done the activity before us because it was so unique to them, and maybe it was one of the reasons why they wanted to do it, you know? And dude, how many thousands of people who have changed from woodwind instruments to brass instruments to march, you know what I mean? And so it's not nothing like personal against woodwinds. I just don't think it like out of respect for the activity, it just doesn't vibe.
there's a time and place. I will also make the argument as a phonium player. This is huge for me. I'm not allowed in orchestra. I'm not allowed in pretty much anything besides wind ensemble. So let me put this into perspective. As a euphonium player, when I was like thinking about degree paths and I was like, what do I want to do? Oh, I want to do performance. It swapped to ed really fast, but I wanted to do performance and ed initially. I dropped the performance before I even got there because as a euphonium player, you can only do military jobs, being wind band or drum corps. And that's pretty much it on euphonium. That's like your options. I can't do jazz, I can't do orchestra. So I have to pick up trombone, right? So I double bass trombone so I can do other ensembles and get other experiences in music because my instrument is only allowed in basically two or three things. So, not to say it's not fair, just I'm saying, unless I get added to the orchestra, why are we adding woodwinds to drum corps? Yes, it's a little different, but that's me being better. But I think you have orchestra. You have orchestra. Like, okay, saxophones. I'm sorry, you don't have orchestra, but you have jazz.
This
Like,
is true.
there's a lot. Like, there's trade offs, and that's the music world. And I'm not saying like there are jazz euphonium players. Is it a very big business? No, but like they exist, and I'm not saying we shouldn't try and like make music more malleable. But there's some things with just tradition roots. I think you gotta leave the same.
Yep. Yep. Alrighty. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the episode. Is there any other final thoughts you would like to say?
No, I mean, um, I would love to see what Drum Corps International has to say about tour dues going up and what their approach is for making drum corps more public. I know that's the objective of some big people up there, but if not to say if I were doing it, but maybe unpopular opinion, popular mild opinion, maybe we broadcast on ESPN or make some other person broadcast. I'm not saying that Flow Marching isn't doing their job. They're doing great. I love Flow. I was front dead center 4 times on Phantom last year with Flow. Like Flow's doing their work, but I'd love to see what drum corps does to keep the activity around because that's honestly what I care about. I don't really care. Like if we end up adding instruments to keep the activity around longer, sure. But I'm interested to see where that goes. So, but other than that, I'm pretty wrapped. I got nothing else to say. I think the proposals are in motion, and we'll see what happens.
I like that. I think I'm gonna honestly, I think I'm gonna make an episode off of that. Things that could expand the drum corps world. Cause I mean it's I mean the center I would say, or like I mean it obviously is the highest available thing you can do for marching band.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like it just needs more eyes on it, you know? Um
Marching music's major league.
yeah. So I think it needs more eyes. Um Oh, I feel like the fine arts are already kind of like, no, they're not dying, but like they're decreasing every year. And so, like, if we were to, like, even me doing drum corps, like, me feeling like I'm a contribution to expanding this world of drum corps to my friends, like, even that feels great because I would hate for this activity to die. That would suck a lot. Um, but yeah, man. Cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we will wrap up the episode. Remember to go follow the Instagram that is Owen Talks Drum Corps. Subscribe on YouTube that is Owen Does Band Things. And then also follow the Spotify that is Owen Talks Drum Corps. Miles, would you like to plug your socials?
Sure, I'll do it one more time. I have an Instagram, TikTok, and a Facebook. Facebook is Miles Kehoe. I don't know why you'd want to follow me on that. If you want to, I might accept. I don't know. We have Millie Youth as my TikTok and Instagram handle at MILLYEUPH. Go follow me on there. And there's projects coming. Also, I will plug one more thing. Go follow the Buick Instagram account if you're not already doing that. Big things coming with the Phantom Regiment this year. You don't want to miss out. Go follow the Phantom Regiment, etc. And keep posted. So yeah, go follow those accounts.
Yes.
And I'll also do this. I did this last episode, but like, share, comment. Hopefully Owen clips something and post it on the shorts. Short form content's getting to people, man. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Owen. It was a really fun day. Got a lot of cool recording done. It was very exciting.
Heck yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, last thing here from me. As you guys know, and we were discussing this a little bit, drum corps tuition has gone up a lot. Fees are high. And so I am currently doing a fundraiser for my drum corps tuition with the Phantom Regiment this upcoming summer. If you guys wouldn't mind contributing any donation would be appreciated. I'll leave the link down in the description of this video on YouTube, as well as on my Instagram. I have it on there. But I do have a special deal for you guys. If you guys make a donation of $35 or more, you get yourself a free Owen Talks drum corps hat. You can kind of see. There we go. Ish. But you can see on my head. It's super cool, super nice, super comfy. You get yourself a free hat with a donation of $35 or more, free shipping, free hat, and and lastly, the rules to that are on the Instagram as well. It's pretty simple. You just make the donation of $35 or more. Send me a screenshot of that confirmation to my direct message on Instagram, Owen Talks Drum Corps. I'll get your shipping information and we will get you that hat for the free. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We will see you soon. Peace.